Steve Pieczenik is legendary, and no one knows what he looks like. And he is a humble man. Soon, in the next few weeks, we're going to have him back and just talk about some of the things he can talk about in black ops, overthrowing governments, writing the current handbook for black ops, psychological warfare, helping found the Delta Force. I mean, it's just one of his exploits you could spend 10 hours on. You could write books. That's why he has 27 New York Times #1 bestsellers. Tom Clancy on record, his main advisor. You wonder how it's all done. It's Dr. Pieczenik on record telling you who the 9/11 conspirators are, saying he'll go before a federal grand jury. 9 years ago, breaking down the fake Bin Laden garbage. It is incredible. In closing, sir, studying Homeland Security. I saw Governor Ridge 8 years ago on a 2-hour C-SPAN program with top CEOs say that they are going to first take over the airports, train us to be, felt up and everything. They'd phase it in, and then they were going to federalize through the fusion centers and roll it out everywhere. Now I've seen CNN announcing naked body scanners to go in the malls. 9,000 locations now have TSA screens, including Walmart's, saying tattle on your neighbors, right out of 1984. And they are announcing in CBS News that they are now going to prepare at pedestrian malls, shopping centers, and there's a TSA, PSA, showing them in a mall, and that now randomly federal pot-bellied goons are going to wander over and stick their hands down your pants as an act of total submission and domination. As a psychiatrist and expert in this, sir, is this not the martial law rollout without them telling us it's martial law?
Well, in effect, it's a de facto martial law, but basically it's very ineffectual. What happens is that you increase suppression on a domestic population which has not been in any way disturbed or in any way has been quite content, has not shown any activity of disruption. It's very dangerous. What happens, in effect, you're creating the very disruption that you fear. And once again, the head of Homeland Security really does not understand the dynamics of having security versus having freedom, and neither does the President of the United States. And one of the most important things to understand is our liberties are the most important. We have a very stable society. We've had very little terrorism. We are not going to have terrorism. The terrorism that occurred at 9/11 was because of a president that wanted to go to war. If they insist on putting more so-called security to protect ourselves against ourselves for things that didn't exist, this will be the beginning of the Second American Revolution, which in many ways will be very peaceful, but will be very disturbing because Homeland Security and this president's real legacy to America will be the agitation and the disruption and the lies that are continuing. And
well, you know what they're going to do. They're going to start arresting. They're going to start arresting.
Learn history. They better learn American history, because when we're left alone, we're very fine. But, basically, there are many of us who believe in our rights and will defend it and will go to war the same way I will. The reason I went on your show is I've gone 8 times to war for our country in 8 missions, and I'll go a 9th time, including this one, which I see as an absurd disruption of our democracy and our freedoms. And if they insist that this is what they think is best for national security, then they must pay the price. I render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and I will give it to him. If Obama sees himself as Caesar and denigrates us, then he will go the way of Caesar, as will Homeland Security. There is no other solution, because the more force you will use against peaceful people, it'll come back to hurt them. All they have to look is Egypt, Libya, the Middle East. Those young students can be mobilized here in the United States. They should be, and they will not be tolerating this type of suppression. And they don't understand that now, with the technology that we have and the ability for people like you to reality test this, and then eventually what will happen is they are seeding the seeds of their own destruction. And this is what Obama does not understand. He's not smart enough.
No, exactly. The founding fathers finally...
I mean, one of the key things that people never got to is he's just not very bright. And the fact that they think he went to Harvard doesn't mean anything. I've got more idiots who came from Harvard who don't know how to run a paycheck or don't know how to run a mortgage. I never hire anybody in a business who came out of Harvard Business School. They're just not that bright. It's not an everyday man. But the man has never done anything. So what we have here is the seeds of imperial presidency extended from Bush Jr., before that Clinton, and now we get to the supreme idiocy of a man who really doesn't understand psychological warfare, national security, or war, and has ordered our military to sacrifice its best men and women in a noble cause that they always believe in defending our freedoms, but are really involved in civil action, civil...
I hear you. We're out of time.
No part is doing.
We're out of time, Doctor.
Yep,
StevePieczenik.com, StevePieczenik.com, links at Infowars.com. He'll be back tomorrow and Friday. Stay with us. Stay with us, folks.